Giggles podcast. That's just how we're going to do our intros now. Just hands up. Surprise.
No joke. Those that are listening, you need to watch. When I was trying to teach Hayes, our youngest boy, how to fight, how to throw hands. I'd be like, cool, up near the chin, elbows in. Sweet, that's all you need, right? And now he fights like this. Like legit. So I'll be like, put your hands up. And he'll be like, rah, and then he'll run at you like this. And I'm like, no. Hands in, elbows in. Bang. Let's go. It's so cute.
Is that your next move, is it? Is that your next athletic move? Going to go into boxing?
I would get destroyed.
You're going to go fight Jake Paul?
Oh, you know what? I'd fight him if I would even get half the cut that they're getting. I don't even care.
I'd fight him for the money. He'd probably whoop my ass.
He'd knock me out in one punch.
You give it to him. As a YouTube star fighter, whatever you want to call him, like, he's actually pretty good.
I haven't watched him fight, so I don't have an opinion.
I've watched clips. He moves well. You can tell that he's genuinely actually like a good boxer. We're
going to get a real boxer on and ask.
Yeah.
He's a boxer fighting an MMA fighter, and he's like 7 weight classes over what Diaz was. So
no, he wasn't. He wasn't that much.
Let me exaggerate. It was a lot. I think it was like 3 or 4.
I don't know.
Anyways. This episode is actually going to be really fun.
This episode is brought to you by Prime.
Don't ever drink it. Drink water.
Drink Monster. Today's episode, we are going to go through strategizing for workouts and trying to get the most out of your workout. So we're assuming the majority of people that listen to the podcast either do CrossFit or some sort of group training in that sort of sense. So we're going to tailor today's episode towards a hypothetical athlete that is doing a class session. And it's not entirely relevant because you can do it with any session, but we're going to go with a class athlete today. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix it up a little bit. We don't know what each other's thinking, but we're going to give each other a hypothetical workout. And then we're going to just discuss how we would strategize for it and what we're trying to, or how we're going to get the most out of each session. So I'll throw it over to Jono.
Okay.
We walked into the 4:30 p.m. class, and we'll give a little bit more context on where Jono, the athlete, is in his journey, what's his strengths and weaknesses, and why we're going to change on how we're going to change what we're going to change and the reasons why. But let's just say we've walked in and part A is a strength piece, but we're not worrying about that. So we're going to move straight onto the Metcon, which is an AMRAP for 16 minutes. And it is 15 pull-ups. You writing this down, Jono? You got it all
No. I'm looking for a workout I'm going to give you.
Oh, right. It's a workout that he's already done.
No, it's a workout that you've done.
So, an AMRAP for 16
15
minutes.
pull-ups.
15 pull-ups. It is 10 box jump overs, 16 dumbbell snatches, just at your normal CrossFit open weight, so 22.5s and 15s. And then it finishes with 20 wall balls.
Jeepers. Alright, first of all, as a snob, I don't like that rep scheme. There is no flow. It's a 16-minute AMRAP. Then we've got 15 pull-ups.
15 pull-ups.
10
box jump overs. I was going to do 15 dumbbell snatches, but you can't do 15.
16 snatch.
Yep.
And then 20 wall balls. Mate, there is no flow. You make it a 15-minute AMRAP. You go 15 pull-ups, 15 box jump overs, 15 snatches, and 15 wall balls.
You can't do 15 because it's alternating, and then you
They're going to get more reps. They're going to get more than one round in. So then they can start it that way.
Let's do a 16-minute AMRAP and do 16 pull-ups and 16 box jump overs, and 16 dumbbell snatches, and 20 wall balls.
And 32 wall balls. All right, I still like that better anyway.
Nice simple movements. The kind of they're a rep range where you should be able to do them either unbroken or in 2 quick sets. you should be able to transition nice and quickly between the movements because there's not too much interference between the four movements. You will get overall interference across the 16 minutes, not 15 minutes. But the weights and the movements aren't skill dominant. So it's
we're going to say they're like open standard.
Yep.
Cool. Now, sorry, I was looking for that workout I was going to give you. Are we going off my own strength and weaknesses?
No, let's go hypothetical athlete.
Okay.
Let's say you are someone that has just competed at a local comp at an intermediate level.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say that you're male for the argument of the session. Intermediate male, and you finished top 10 in the local comp.
Cool, top 10. Now, this is going to be a very specific question, and this is only because it's going to come down to my answer as well. What month of the year are we in? Are we in the off-season side of things? Are we in open prep season?
That deep? Okay.
Well, because it's going to change everything. Like, it will change everything.
Yeah, it will. So let's say it is end of November, start of December.
All right, so we're starting to get into open prep.
Yep.
All right.
We're at the start of open prep sort of season.
Cool. So let's
just build on you as an athlete. You've got good amount of leg strength. So the box jump overs and wall balls are, you would consider a strength. Your gymnastics is there, but the stamina isn't quite there. So you could do the sets unbroken, but after 2 to 3 sets, you won't be able to hold on to unbroken sets there.
Cool. All right, awesome. I think that's enough info that I can go off. So my immediate thoughts is I'm looking firstly at the timing of what I'm preparing for. So as an intermediate athlete, top 10, I'm assuming I would have butterfly pull-ups. I may not be great at butterfly pull-ups like we've spoken about, but I've got the skill. Box jump overs, generally we see that intermediate is when you start to acquire the skill of a good box jump over as well. And snatches are snatches and wall balls. Leg strength is going to be there, so that's going to be fine. So my focus is going to be around
towards the end, the 20 wall balls is a bit iffy.
I think at 16 minutes, I think the 20 wall balls should be hard for anyone. Or you haven't gone hard enough. So I would still be having my focus at the moment on getting better with my gymnastics. And so everything else would be based around me holding a bigger set on the pull-ups.
A bigger set?
Yeah. Competition-wise, that would change. Training-wise, if I can sacrifice a good score so I can get better at my pull-ups, that's what I would do. And so I would, first round, I would go unbroken. The box jump overs, if there's something I'm confident with, that would be my, not rest, but they wouldn't be something I would absolutely smash. My snatches, I would probably pick up the pace a little bit more just because they're far enough away from the pull-ups on either end that I could push there. And then when going into the wall balls, I would probably break that up into 2 sets from the start. Only because then that would extend maybe a 5-10 second extra rest before I get back to the pull-ups. And I'm getting to relax my body before I go to the pull-ups because I have that break in between, maybe like a set of 12 and 8 to get my 20 wall balls. And then I go back to the pull-ups.
Quite early that the pull-ups are the focus here for you.
If the pull-ups are what I'm struggling with most, they need to be what I'm focusing on.
Yep, that's a good way of approaching it.
Yeah. Now, again, only in training. Is that lemon water?
This is water. It's just normal water. The bottle's yellow.
Oh, the bottle looks green.
It's green and then yellow. It can be 2 colours.
Can it?
Wow. Anyway, continue.
And that's what I would do. And I would do my best to hold on. Now, despite if my pull-ups still start to fall apart, I would still hold a strong pace because you still want a good workout in, right? To then still hold a strong but smart, we'll use the word smart pace on everything with the box jumps, the snatches and the wall balls, so that when I get back to the pull-ups again, it's another big set, if not unbroken again.
Yeah.
In the mindset that we're in end of November, start of December, by the middle of January, a set of 16 pull-ups isn't going to scare me and it's not going to fatigue me as much because I've done this back-end work.
Yep.
But that's where I would go with that to
Yeah.
get the most out of this workout.
See, we've got very different approaches to this.
Yeah,
So I
this
would
is
attack
good.
this. I would look at this as, okay, well, pull-ups are my weakness. So through, because you would say that that's a medium to long sort of time frame workout.
Yeah,
Halfway through, so let's 8 minutes deep into the workout, I want to have enough energy that I can still do pull-ups. Because
Yep.
if it's something that the technique's going to break down halfway through because I'm fatiguing, I want to reserve more energy for the movement that I suck at, as opposed to going hard on that and then you don't really have anything to slow you down because you're good at the box jump overs, you're good at the wall balls, and the dumbbell you can move well. So I would break the pull-ups up from the first round and I would do them in descending rep schemes. So 6, 5, 4. So every time you jump up to the pull-ups, you've got a smaller set. So mentally it's easier for you to get back up onto the pull-up bar than it was for the previous set. So I would break it 6, 5, 4. Then I would, because I'm resting on my pull-ups, then I don't have an excuse to break on my box jump overs. I would break the dumbbell snatches to adjust for the fatigue, the shoulder fatigue, because it's another pulling movement. So there's bicep, and like the shoulder movement in there is going to carry over into the other ones. Plus, you're not going to expect it, but the wall balls are going to blow your arms out as well. So
Yeah,
I would
massively.
break the pull-ups. That's where I'm going to get a lot of my rest. I would go hard on the box jump overs. I would break the dumbbells probably only into 2 sets. Same again, bigger set to start, finish with a smaller set. So either 9 and 5 or 10 and 6. Sorry, that was wrong. 9 and 7. 9 and 7 or 10 and 6. And then on the wall balls, I would break those. I would do a bigger set, so probably even like 14 and 6 or 15 and 5. And I would have a bigger break after my 10. So let's say I'm doing 10 and 5. I do 10. I have a substantial break there because then when I do my 5, I'm not going to carry over that fatigue onto my pull-ups because I'm going to have a break just because of my transition. I'm going to break from my wall balls to my pull-ups anyway. So that would be a strategic break. So I would have a set of 10, a slightly bigger break there, do my 5, have my planned rest, and then do my 6 pull-ups. That being said, if we're that sort of area in the season, I would do an entire practice round. Start the clock, go boom, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Do my 6, rest, do my 5, rest, do my 4. I'm broken and quick on the box. Do my 10 alternating snatches, do my 6 over on the wall ball, blah, blah, blah. And I would find the time that it took me to do that round. I would analyze how I feel. Whether that was, oh man, I went way too fast. There's no way. So let's hypothetically say it took me 2 minutes, bang on 2 minutes. And go, right, can I hold that pace for 8 rounds? No, slow it down. And if I can hold that pace, then you hold that pace. Because a lot of the times everything will spike in the initial part of the workout and then you can kind of like find your own pace within it. So if you can do that at the start and go, nah, this is a really good pace, I think I can hold that. It'll be a little bit aggressive. It might burn off at the end, but that's when you just hell for leather push in that last 2-minute round. So I would be looking at reserving my energy for the movement that I suck at and then making adjustments so that way the pull-ups don't fuck me, essentially.
No, I see. So what's your goal in this workout?
My goal is to move consistently. So
Okay.
the way that I'm looking at, so if we're approaching the open season and I can, arbitrary numbers, these don't actually mean anything, but if I can hit an 80% intensity for that 16 minutes, and that's my goal. So if I go to 85%, I can't hold that intensity and I'd burn off. And if I hold 75% intensity, I feel like I haven't worked out hard enough. So 80% is that sweet spot for me. If I work out at 80% and I can get around for 2 minutes for 16 minutes, that 80% theoretically, when you get closer to the open, that 80% should now be a minute 45. because you're that little bit faster. So that 80%. So if you want to be working around that threshold. So that's the goal essentially. That's a better way to explain it. Is I'm working on like threshold training. So I'm trying to find.
We just have different focuses.
Yeah.
Because if I was looking at overall work capacity, sorry, I would agree with you 100% that I would break up the pull-ups from the start.
Yeah.
To maintain consistent effort or rounds or times or whatever. However, I guess at that point of the season, I would still be focusing on pulling up those unbroken sets. So I disagree with you, but then I agree with you.
See, I would like adapt your approach closer to the open.
Really? So you do it the other way around?
Yeah. So if it was 3 weeks out from the open, I would be like, let's fuck around and find out. Let's go unbroken and see how hard I can push now, because I've been working at threshold for the last 2 months. So I know that I've been improving, but I don't really know to what extent because I haven't pushed. And then when you get closer to the open, let's fuck around and find out. And then, no, that was too hard. So I know that was too fast of a pace for me to hold on to, as opposed to just doing that style of training the whole way through.
See, I see the off season and even the pre-season as time to like find out.
Yeah.
That's when. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Different approach.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow.
So we've got the same. We would use the same mechanisms, but just different times in
different timings of it. Yeah. See, I would start dialing in that threshold stuff 6 to 8 weeks out.
I wouldn't be doing it all the time.
Oh, here we go.
I would do it every now and again. Well, you're not, because we spoke about this in our, what did you call it? One of our previous episodes where you were the what if.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would utilize that more frequently closer to an event. So like 2 to 3 times a week, I'm going to like, let's fuck around and find out. Whereas in the early stages of the season, it's more about identifying that threshold point.
Oh, see, every workout of every component right now for me is, let's find out. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's find out. Because if it falls to pieces, I'm going to hit my limit. And let's see how long I can hold on for it.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting. That's cool.
So let's go, we'll just, same workout, but we'll change the stimulus more for a scaling option, or we'll change the athlete slightly. And let's say that it was chest to bars, so a slightly higher skill movement. And let's say that instead of, let's say there were barbell snatches.
Yep. Snatches
So
at
less reps. So let's say there were 8 barbell snatches.
8. Open weight 43 or 61?
We'll go 61.
61.
Yep.
Cool. Still 20 wall balls.
Let's just say, it's a class workout, and we're talking about scaling options now. So let's say
the RX is 61.
Yep.
Cool.
So RX is 61, which for me as the hypothetical athlete, 60 for any more than 5 reps is just going to destroy me in a Metcon sense. Like I can snatch, let's say I've got 75 is my 1 rep, 75 or 80 kilos is my 1 rep. I can move 60, I can move it quite well, but it doesn't take many reps for it to be at a failure sort of weight.
Yep. What's your gymnastics like?
Same person. Gymnastics is...
same person.
Same person, but the skill's a little bit higher. And we don't have wall balls in this workout. So
so no wall balls, so it's a triplet.
Yeah. Little triplet. Class workout. And how are we scaling this? So the same person...
Yep.
Chest to bars, you might be able to get 5, but doing... How many was it? 16?
Yep.
16, you're going to be there for 2.5 minutes trying to get 16 out.
Yeah. I mean...
2 minutes.
If this was me, again, if we were in the off-season, I would take the ego hit and I would focus on doing chest to bars. I might scale the actual rep numbers and let everyone know before I do the workout. And I would... So then I could work on chest to bar pull-ups and get that exposure to it if I'm not doing it outside of training. But I'm in a class, so I'm probably not going to have time.
Yep.
and I would drop the snatches 8 reps, man. I'd probably drop it to 43 or 50, probably 43, just to make sure that I could dial it in. Because 43, actually probably 50, because that's working around 75%.
Yep.
If you said my 75 kilo snatch, my 1 rep max.
Let's say that the coach that's running the class has said, right, the stimulus of this session, it's a shorter time frame, so it's 12 minutes.
Okay.
We're mixing it right
Everything.
up. So the stimulus for this session is like that you want to be quick singles, you want to be quick on the box, and then so the goal is to be moving fast through all 3 movements.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the stimulus. So if you can't cycle a barbell quickly, let's adjust the weights so we can move the barbell quickly. So you don't want to be stuck on the barbell for a minute and a half. This is like an open style triplet. So we want to get the stimulus of an open style triplet.
Cool. Then I would, if we're looking after that stimulus, I would toy around with even keeping the chest to bar pull-ups, the rep scheme the same. However, I would plan to break them up into 3s or 4s with a quick rest. Yep. And then I would scale down to 43 kilos for the snatches, just to make sure that I can keep moving.
Yeah.
Because if it's a triplet, you're hitting 1 round every 2 to 3, possibly 4 minutes, depending on how much you do die.
Yeah.
You're still getting a minimum 32 snatches that you're getting in. That's a decent amount. Yeah. And that's a lot of room as well towards the end, that if your technique starts to get real bad, there's a lot of room for risk of injury, which I just dumb.
Yeah. So I would have like a similar sort of approach.
Yep.
I would be looking at the pull-ups from 2 different approaches as well. So I would be saying, okay, is this athlete doing any strict pulling work outside of the classes? Are they doing strict, like you might have another piece of your program where we're doing weighted strict pull-ups, or we're doing like strict pull-up volume, or we're doing some form of work that's going to get them to their chest to bars. And so they're working on their chest to bars outside of today's session, and I know that. So for today's stimulus, we're going to keep the reps the same, but we're just going to do pull-ups. We want to keep the intensity there.
I would agree with that.
If you know that there's nothing that's getting done outside of the class to work on their chest to bars, then I would say, no, we're going to stick with the chest to bars, but we're going to reduce the reps. So we're going to do half the reps, but we're going to stick with chest to bars. I want you still moving quickly. We're going to stick to our sets of 3. We're going to do small sets with a short break, and we're going to move fast, but we're keeping the chest to bars. And then same thing with the barbell. Like I would drop it right back, either like 45, 50 kilos, something that for an RX athlete that can snatch 100 plus, this is 60% of your 1 rep max or less. So you want that same sort of stimulus. You should be able to, boom, hit that 1 rep, drop it, 3, 2, 1, boom, hit that next rep, 3, 2, 1, go for the whole 12 minutes that you're working for. And then you want quick transitions through the lot because it's an open style session. But same thing, like if you know that they're not doing any other work outside of the class for their strength work, then you could do the same sort of, all right, we're going to go a little bit heavier. We're going to go 52 because we know that there's nothing else that you're doing that's going to build your strength capacity, your snatch, like barbell cycling capacity at a moderate weight. So we're going to go a little bit heavier, and instead of doing 8, we'll do 6.
Yep.
Or you just stick with the 8, depending on how much they slow down.
I think
so there's a few different ways that I would look at that as well.
I like it. I think the biggest thing that we need to remember, and even educate as well, is that especially when you are training, getting the fastest time or the best score is not the best training stimulus. While it's cool and it's fun, and when you get to a certain level, like if it's in your wheelhouse, like go for it, race someone, have some fun. But if it's like, man, I really need to work on my pull-ups, then take the time. Because if you're doing classes, you're not getting a lot of time.
Yep.
So you need to utilize the time that you have.
100%.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'll add on to that is a lot of people view training as competing. So they do that. They'll race everyone. And you're essentially what you're doing by definition is you're competing every time you're stepping in the gym, and you will compete yourself out of shape, and you won't be getting the most out of your training if you're competing all the time. Sometimes you need to check your ego, leave that at the door and say, today I'm focusing on my snatches. I want to make sure that they're bloody perfect, or whatever it might be. Or no, I'm going to take the time and I really want to work on my chest to bars today. I'm going to take the hit. I'm going to get the worst score on the class, but I don't care because I'm going to make sure that I nail every set of my butterfly chest to bars.
Yep.
So there's a couple of things that I would ask myself in that scenario. One, what's the desired stimulus from the session, and how am I going to achieve that? And then two, is there a weakness or something that I need to be working on that's going to get me better in the long term by sacrificing my score and working on that today?
And it's not that long.
No.
Like, you won't have to scale for that long. You actually improve very, very fast, especially in the world of CrossFit.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that you'll do to help you improve on that one thing as well.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Yeah, I just wish people understood this more and more. Or you know what? Not understood, but believed us, because it's so cliche to say. Yeah. And if they really saw the way that we trained, like, yeah, a lot of the workouts were just, well, according to you now, you don't, but like full send and find out.
No.
Whereas,
it's not the right time of season.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, like right now, I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to, we did this workout the other day and I was like, I'm going to go heavy wall balls and see if I can go unbroken. And it was horrible. It was horrible. And it made my shuttle runs beforehand horrendously slow. But I went unbroken on the wall balls and that was my goal.
Yeah.
And so that's what I got better at. I didn't get better at shuttle runs though. I got better at whinging at shuttle runs.
Yeah. No complaining.
So
that's rule number 2. No.
Sorry, Sensei.
But yeah.
No. All right, hopefully that's cool. I like these kind of things as well, talking strategy, because I don't think people realize how deep you can go into all of this stuff. Yeah. And just another caveat, I asked KPow to help me with some strategy for some comps and got nothing. Do a podcast with him about a hypothetical athlete and I get more of a rundown than you'll ever get.
I know more about this hypothetical athlete than what Jono tells me about himself, so I can't work with what I don't know. No,
I'm learning this from you and Hannah.
Terrible. But we're working on it. We're getting there.
Trying. Nah, I don't like it. It's too hard.
All right. Cool. That was a nice little episode. We'll leave it there. Same as always, we're on Spotify, YouTube, and on Instagram, gains.and.giggles. So hit us up on any of those 3 platforms with any questions that you have or anything you want us to discuss.
We would love to hear from you. We are honoured to have your questions.
We are. We actually really enjoy them.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's good. Keep them coming.
Otherwise, we're just going to talk about random stuff and ramble.
Yeah.
Which we also like doing.
All right.
See you guys.
See you next time.
Bye.